a prison that is the embodiment of torture and humiliation by the guards, but also the execution of over 1,000 prisoners. This prison is designed for the complete dehumanization of human beings. Petty criminals, murderers, rapists, but also political prisoners are housed in it. All those who opposed Bashar al-Assad's regime were in fear of being summarily liquidated. According to prison rules, prisoners were only allowed to look at the floor, and abuses were part of the daily routine. The inhumane conditions in the prison were characterized by small cells without windows, where, after closing the large steel doors, the convicts remained in complete darkness. The cells themselves were full of mold with a tiny hole in the floor for the toilet. It is also known for the massacre of prisoners by guards in the early 1980s. A prison that has been called hell on earth. And rightfully so. The prison area that was originally built for 500 people on an earthen rectangle roughly the size of half a football field has grown into a facility that should accommodate 3,000 people and accommodates between 5,000 and 7,000 people. Prisoners are chained for 12 hours a day, while some spend years in solitary confinement. An even more terrifying impression is made by the fact that in this prison they receive meals every second day, so it is not uncommon for convicts to resort to cannibalism in order to survive. This shocking fact that freezes the blood in the veins is also confirmed by the few foreign journalists who had the privilege, or rather the nightmare, of peering inside the walls of this prison. These sources state that mass fights break out due to overcrowding, which often result in deaths. The corpses of the vanquished would be eaten by the victors. This way of feeding often leads to gangrene of the lower extremities, and thus to amateur amputations of the same, and often to death. The official administration in Rwanda claims that the reports about this place are mere fabrications. It is one of the most notorious prisons in the world. The reason enough is that, until now, no one has ever left it who came as a convict. All prisoners of this notorious prison are sentenced to life without parole. This prison guards the outside world from 700 convicts for murder, rape, and even cannibalism. The otherwise popular name of this prison, Black Dolphin, got its name because of the sculpture made by the prisoners, which is located at the entrance to the prison. This prison is unique in the world because of the technique of taking convicts out of their cells, where they have to walk bent at the hips with handcuffs on their hands that are bent high back and blindfolded so that they would not be able to observe the layout of the buildings in the prison complex. Convicts are locked in solitary confinement throughout the day except for 90 minutes when the guards take them out for exercise in special cages designed for gymnastics activities. During those 90 minutes, guards check their cells for illegal items. To all these difficult living conditions in this prison should be added the food, which includes only simple soup and plain bread. Human rights activists have compared this prison complex to concentration camps in World War II. One of the safest and therefore the most brutal prisons in the world. This prison was built as a replacement for the famous Alcatraz. A supermax type prison, ergo a total institution of maximum security, totally restricts the movement of the convicts who are in it. It houses the most serious criminals, drug lords, terrorists, the most notorious neo-Nazis who spend 23 hours in solitary confinement. 300 or so prisoners in solitary confinement eat and perform their physiological needs, while they do not have access to daylight, and artificial light is also limited. The bed, desk, and chair are stationary. Otherwise, they are made of cast concrete. The prison from which no one has escaped is guarded by 12-meter-high fences. This complex in Colorado is described by human rights activists as the epitome of hell. At the top of the list is a prison that can be called more of a concentration camp than a prison. Most of the prisoners in this camp were political prisoners, together with their closest family members, who served the sentence with the responsible culprit. The prisoners performed various work tasks since this prison was organized as a labor colony. In addition to hard forced labor, prisoners were also beaten and abused for not performing work tasks. In addition to beatings, there were other methods of punishment, such as standing on tiptoe in a large tank full of water, or confinement in cells with inhumane living conditions filled with dirt, where prisoners were deprived of daylight, sometimes for months. Food was also scarce. prisoners received 170 grams of corn twice a day. It is estimated that around 2,000 people died of malnutrition, and a third had some kind of deformity on their bodies from constant beatings. The number of those executed is still unknown. In addition to all of the above, the prisoners also served as guinea pigs on which chemical weapons were tested, as well as untested medicines and certain medical treatments. You must have heard of the expression caged like an animal. In some penal systems, human beings are treated worse than animals. We have raised awareness about animal protection, which is commendable. Let's just remember how they treated animals in circuses without talking about animals in the wild. But it seems to me that we have forgotten how to treat human life. I cannot understand those beings that I cannot call people who have no empathy whatsoever for another human being. I understand what you will think when the question is a murderer, especially a rapist. The poison of revenge and revanchism is instantly pumped into our veins. These are all natural instincts, but I emphasize instincts. Let's remember why we human beings, as we claim, are more intelligent than animals. Think for a moment. If we return the same measure to the man who killed someone and take his life, do we also take on the sin of murder? And do we also become murderers, justifying that this is the satisfaction of justice? Let's remember that prisons have the official name of correctional institution. This word correctional seems to have been lost from our sight over time. This name, correctional institution, fulfills its entire function in certain rare state systems, which we will talk about at another time. And until then, show empathy towards your surroundings and even towards the one with whom you are in an argument. Because remember, someone said once upon a time that those who hit you with a stone will give him bread,